Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 4, entitled Hiranyakashipu Terrorizes the Universe. Text 33. The qualities of Sri Prahlad Maharaj are being summarized herein. And by studying them carefully, we can truly understand what is a Vaisnava. We may read volumes and volumes of philosophy, memorize many teachings, and even have the power to speak in such a way that people are mesmerized. In these few verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clear what is expected of us. What are the characteristics that we must sincerely strive to live by in our lives? As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has spoken, one cannot really understand Krishna or how to love Krishna even by studying scrutinizingly all of the various scriptures. But one can understand by observing the life of a pure devotee. Mahajano yena katasa banta. This is the path of perfection. To follow in the footsteps of Mahajans. Because this is the culmination, the essence of philosophy. It is what all the philosophy is trying to bring us to achieve. These personal qualities. Personal qualities do not necessarily come by getting a position. You may be a temple president, you may be a Sankirtan leader, you may be a counselor. You may be a GBC, a guru, anything. But you will not necessarily adopt those qualities just by having a position. And it is these qualities that attract Krishna. It is these characteristics that actually please Krishna. They are not easily achieved. In fact, if we study these verses describing Prahlad Maharaj, it's very difficult. But yet, we must strive, we must pray, we must perform our service, study the scriptures, do our sadhana and everything else with the aim of developing these qualities. Narada Muni tells the qualities of Prahlad. He was completely cultured as a qualified Brahmin. Srila Prabhupada has told us that this movement is especially meant to create a class of true Brahmins. And for one who is a Vaisnava, all the essential, real qualities of a Brahmin are naturally there, even if he may not be performing the occupational duty of a Brahmin. Having very good character and being determined to understand the absolute truth. Having a learning, having a yearning, having an eagerness, determination to understand the absolute truth. In school, for most people, if they want to do well in their grades, there has to be a determination to understand the subject. When we read the books, when we come to the classes, it should not just be because we're supposed to. It should not simply be for social purposes. It should not be to catch extra rest. We should come to class with a determination to understand the absolute truth. If you're determined, you'll be awake. To be determined means to be willing to fight all opposition and all obstacles. That is a quality of determination. He had full control of senses and mind. And he was kind to everyone. It explains his relationships with others. How, and all of these qualities can only take place in a person who is not envious, or at least at the beginning stages not acting according to the influences of envy that may be lurking within our hearts. To respectable persons, Prahlad Maharaj acted like a menial servant. This is very interesting. He's the favorite son of the king. Usually someone in that position is naturally very proud. But to all respectable people, Prahlad Maharaj acted like a menial servant, which means he was willing to serve them in any way. Menial servant does not discriminate what is high service, what is low service, what is a prestigious thing to do, what is something that people may even criticize you for doing. Menial servant means he'll do whatever is required to serve that person, to please that person. To those who were poor, Prahlad was just like their father. This is very profound. A father doesn't just give something in charity. A father really cares. Yes? If your child is sick, does the father just say, here's some medicine? Just you're driving in a car, roll down the window, here's some medicine, my son, and drive on. A father really cares with his heart for the welfare of that person. And really willing to extend himself and even make sacrifices. Prahlad Maharaj saw every poor, suffering person as his own son. And what's so beautiful about it is he himself was only 5 years old. This was the standard of his devotion. Practically everybody that was poor was probably old enough to be his father, but he was seeing them as his own children. Why? Because he had something to help them, to serve them. It's not just about money. It's about respect also. We read about Srila Prabhupada when he was living in the Bowery, Skid Row ghetto of Manhattan Island. There were people who were really, really poor. Not only poor economically, but poor in every sense of morality. They were alcoholics, drug addicts, sleeping on the roads, had nothing. Due to their addictions, they just lost everything they had. Completely, totally rejected by the whole society. People wouldn't even want to look at them, see them. They were disgusting. Srila Prabhupada had less money than they did. Yes? He had practically nothing. But yet, he was intoxicated with Krishna's love. He would walk amongst them. He always showed respect for them. He always showed honor for them. In fact, he was the only person in the whole universal creation that gave them any respect or honor. They would open the door for him to reciprocate. They would not do that for anyone else. Everyone else, they'd slam the door in their face. Prabhupada, they would open the door. Because he was giving them a sense of dignity. And in giving a person like that a sense of dignity, you're actually giving them the strength to give up their bad habits and improve themselves. Just give them money, you're not really helping them very much. Just give them some medicine, you're not really helping them very much, because the medicine and the money and some food is not going to give them the strength to overcome their suffering, miserable condition. But if you give a person a sense of dignity, you can actually give a person a sense that my life has some value. That there is something in me that is good. I don't see it. Nobody else sees it, but this person sees it, so it must be there. That could give one the strength to overcome so many obstacles, to come out of Maya and attain Krishna. So yes, Prabhupada was like a father to those people. And little Prahlad, 5 years old, he was also like a father. He respected everyone. He gave honor to the dignity of every living being. Now, how is that possible? From a psychological perspective, we could analyze how it is very, very vital for encouraging a person who is in a very, very depressed condition. But Prahlad, Srila Prabhupada, and the great souls, they are seeing from a different perspective. Vidyavanaya sampane brahmani gavihastini sunichaiva swapakecha pandita samadarshana. They are seeing the ultimate good in every living being. Whether they are Brahman, or a cow, elephant, dog, or dog eater. Chandala. They're seeing beyond the external dress. Vasamsi junani yatha vihaya. This body is a dress. This mind is also a dress. It's like this body is the outer clothes. The mind is like the underwear. But the soul is the person. Now you may or may not like the person's clothes, and you may not like his underwear. But it's the person that is important. And every living being, who, whatever their designation may be, whatever clothes they may be dressing, they're a part of God. They're Satchidananda, they're eternal, full of knowledge, full of bliss. They're our brothers, they're our sisters. Ham bija pratapita. Krishna is the Father, where everyone is our brother and sister. Everyone's pure. There's love of God there everywhere. If someone sees that in you, sees godliness in you, sees purity in you, sees divine love in you, that person can really encourage you and also empower you. In psychology, psychiatry today, and in various, new type of methods of trying to deal with people's mental problems, there's a sense of giving a person a sense of self-worth. Yes? Giving a person the comfort that I'm important, that I'm valuable. Because in this world of Kali Yuga, there are so many situations that could really be depressive to a person's mind. So therefore there's like almost a whole movement of just self-care, feeling of self-value. But when that is only on the material plane, it can make you feel better, maybe, temporarily. But it can also inflate your false ego and give you a really illusory sense of your value. But what Prahlad, Srila Prabhupada or other these great souls, they're not just trying to pump up our depressed ego. They're trying to give us knowledge of who we really are, what we really are, what our real value is. And if you understand your value according to their perspective, you can't think, well, I have real value, but you don't. Yes. With these modern psychological methods, it could bring that. Then now I am feeling self-care, self-value, and I'm better than you. But herein we understand who we really are. And we understand that everybody is like that. Everybody's essence is full of bliss. Everybody's essence is of inconceivable value. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada compares the Vivinamsa, the soul, which is just an infinitesimal little part of Krishna, who is Vibhu, who is unlimited, to a spark. Krishna is like the sun, and the jivas are sometimes compared to little sparks or rays of the sun. Now, from the perspective of a spark, what is the significance of a spark? Hare Krishna. They're so tiny, so small, anu, very, very little. They can't illuminate very much. The farther the spark is away from the fire, the less it glows, the less value it has. But when that spark comes closer and closer and closer and closer to the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, who is the source of all love, of all devotion, then that spark glows brighter and brighter and brighter. And when that spark is very, very close to Shri Radha Gopinath, it can generate light that could illuminate an entire world and an entire universe. That little infinitesimal spark. So in actually trying to give a person their real sense of self-value, we convince them that you are a spirit soul. You are part and parcel of Krishna. There is pure love in your heart. There is unlimited joy in your heart. Theoretically, that can make a person feel, oh, well, that's nice. But real inner fulfillment has to go beyond the theoretical. Because the situations that come up in life can very much bewilder us from our theoretical understandings of things. But if we convince people of this concept of truth, and then bring them closer and closer and closer to the lotus feet of Sri Radha Gopinath, then their real sense of that little infinitesimal soul starts glowing brighter and brighter and brighter. Its divine qualities, its divine virtues become more and more manifested. And in the spiritual world we find, although there are unlimited jivatmas, how many jivatmas are in the city of Bombay? Just the rats alone are countless. What to speak of the humans and the mosquitoes and all the microbes and other little cockroaches and everything else. How many jivatmas are here? in India, in the earth, in the universe, in the cosmic manifestation. Could human intelligence ever even create a number that could estimate how many jivatmas are in the cosmic manifestation? Yes? It's impossible. Unfathomable. Well, this is just a small little place. This is just a prison. The amount of people in prisons usually is a very small percentage of society. How many jivatmas are in the spiritual world? Goloka Vrindavan. And in the vicinity of Goloka Vrindavan there is Vrindavan, Svetadvip, and then there is Dwarka and Mathura. Unlimited Vaikuntha planets, and in each Vaikuntha planet there is more living entities than in the whole cosmic manifestation. In each of those Vaikuntha planets. And there are unlimited Vaikuntha planets. And Goloka Vrindavan is the biggest and the best of all of them. How many living entities? But yet because each living entities, that their heart is so close to Krishna due to love, that Krishna, he can make everyone feel that I love only you. Yes? He can make everyone feel that my full love, my full affection, my full attraction is just for you. And that doesn't give you a superior complex over others. If you see Krishna loving someone else, it doesn't make you envious. Why nobody is envious when they see Krishna loving someone else more? Because they're so totally satisfied by Krishna's love for me. Therefore, the more they see Krishna loving someone else, the more it thrills them, gives them happiness. So yes, the closer the soul comes to Krishna, the more the real value of the soul is brought out. So a real father who is trying to help the poor is not only giving them some physical symptomatic relief, but a person who is giving them the knowledge of who they really are and then bringing them closer and closer and closer to Krishna. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given an instruction to all you people from India. Bharata bhumite hoila manusya janmajar, janma sarataka kara kara paru upakar. That we should all perform the highest welfare work for human society. And what is that highest welfare work? To bring people closer to Krishna. To feed people, to nourish people on the spiritual platform. And our physical welfare work and our emotional welfare work is always connected to the needs of the soul. That is para upakar. People are hungry. Give them food. They're hungry again. Give them prasad. They'll be hungry again. But in the process of eating that food, you have brought them a little closer to Krishna. You have awakened the soul to its true glory. Hospitalization. Prabhupada in so many ways said, we are not interested in hospitals. That is just philanthropy. But if you can give a person medicine, heal a person's sickness, but at the same time put them in an environment where their souls are being awakened, where they're coming close, where that little, that practically burnt out little tiny spark that's just laying in the dry sand and is practically, there's no light at all in it. If you can somehow or other bring it closer, closer, closer to the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, then that type of philanthropy is para upakar. And ultimately, Cheto Darapana Marajanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. The prime benediction for the whole humanity at large is Krishna, who is descended in his name, in all of his fullness, in all of his opulence. Krishna has manifested in his name. So therefore the greatest charity that we can possibly offer to another, with real care, with real love, is to bring people closer to Krishna by inducing them to take shelter of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Radha and Krishna. We can be close to Krishna in every situation and allow that little soul in our heart to blaze with love, with all good qualities. And the holy name is a method by which we could remain close to Krishna in every situation, everywhere, at all times. Therefore it is the prime benediction. Radha and Krishna are their names. So this was Prahlad Maharaj. Even though he was a little 5-year-old boy, he cared and loved for the poor like his own father. And it wasn't only the poor in wealth, that is included, but it was the poor in heart. Of course, in the Bible, Jesus said, blessed are the poor in heart. But what he's speaking about, poor in heart, means those who have humble hearts. Those who realize that nothing is mine. Everything is the property of God. The more we realize that, the more we are eager to come closer to God. To his equals, Prahlad Maharaj, he was attached like a sympathetic brother. That means to other Vaishnavas who are equal. Not just a friend. We should have friendships with our God brothers, our God sisters in this way. Friendship. But what is the spirit of this friendship? There was attachment to them, like a sympathetic brother. If someone is your brother and you're sympathetic, means you really care about that person. Deep down, to the core of your heart, you really care about that person. Sympathetic brother means his problems are my problems. His success is my success. His joy is my joy. His suffering is my suffering. That's sympathetic. You really care. And as a brother, no matter what, sympathetic brother. And developing attachment on that level. Mayavadis, they sometimes are against any type of attachment. And sometimes devotees also, because we read so much about vairagya, detachment. that we get this idea that we should be detached from everything, from everyone. But in Vaishnava society, we find here, Prahlad, he is attached to his equals. But he's not attached to exploiting them. He's not attached to them for his sense gratification. He's attached to them because he knows they are his brothers, his sisters. They are Krishna's children. And he's attached to serving them. He's attached to serving them with love. That is how we should try to cultivate relationships with all of our peers. An attachment to serving them with love. Rupa Goswami explains the 6 loving exchanges. To be attached to those exchanges with each other is very good. It's the symptoms of a Mahajan. And he considered his teachers, that means Shiksha Gurus, spiritual masters. Prabhupada says he treated his older god brothers as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His teachers, his guru, and his older god brothers, he treated them as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how was he able to do this? He was completely free from unnatural pride. Why doesn't it just say completely freed of pride? Why unnatural pride? Because in spiritual life there's pride. But it's natural pride. Natural means based on truth. To be proud of Krishna is natural pride. To be proud of other Vaishnavas for the good things they do, because they know they're being empowered by Krishna, is natural pride. If you're proud of Krishna, will you not spontaneously be proud of anything Krishna does through someone else? When we glorify Krishna, we're showing our pride in Krishna. Yes? This is my God. This is our God. When we read about Srila Prabhupada, our hearts should swell with pride. Not pride in ourselves, but pride in Prabhupada. And we see anybody serving nicely, being empowered them, we should be swelling with pride. Just see how my God brother, my God sister, how this other Vaishnava, even somebody else's disciples or whatever, how they are empowered by Krishna, Prabhupada and our paramparas to do such nice things. That's natural pride. Because it's focused on Krishna. But false pride, unnatural pride, is when we put ourselves at the center. When Krishna's in the center, that's natural pride. When we put ourselves in the center, that is unnatural pride. Natural pride in Krishna, in Guru, in Vaishnavas, unifies us. Helps us to transcend all envy and disputes. Unnatural pride creates disunity, creates envy, destroys our humility. Natural pride increases our humility. When our pride is with Krishna and others in the center, it makes us humble. When our pride is with ourself in the center, it makes us egoistic, arrogant.